Hi.
So hello Argie, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
Excited for this interview?
Yes.
For the
Yes.
presentation of
Thanks
the
for coming
next various artists?
in my house. Thank you.
Thank you to you. So first of all, will be nice if you can introduce a bit about yourself.
Yeah.
So if you can talk a bit about you.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm Argie. I am born and raised in the island of Crete in Greece, and I've been living in Amsterdam for the past 10 years. And I have been producing music from the beginning that I came here, and it looks like a city that kept me immediately. So I'm still here, and looking forward for the future.
That's really nice. Now going more into the music and into techno. So it will be nice to know how did you start on this music and what brings you to this?
Well, I have the small gene from my brother that he was producing music for a long time, and I started get familiar with DJing when I was 17. Back in the days when I was in my students' time, and DJ, I remember I bought the first Pioneers 100. It was back then, and I started getting there. However, later on, DJ was not really enough, and I was also looking at my brother producing a lot of music, and I really liked it. I started quite young, but then after in my 20s, I moved completely to the production.
Oh, that's really interesting. And you told that you are also DJ and producer.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to know what is for you more challenging, to play music or play music in live, or to make a track? What do you think can be more challenging, or there are some differences?
Yeah, well, both are challenging. So both have the challenge for themselves, and for me, both are creative. So it's a completely different perspective when I produce music, and completely different perspective when I play live. And it has to do with the environment, with the crowd, the time that you play. While when you produce music, still has to do with your mindset and how your day was. Sometimes, like for me, I like to produce music during the morning, mostly where my head is empty and I don't have sounds from the rest of the day. So it depends. Both are quite challenging, and that's the nice part of it.
So for example, you feel more creative than in the morning because you have like your thoughts more clear than, for example, at producing, because there are some people that prefer to produce at night when it's more late, because I don't know, you also feel maybe at night more sleepy, but then also your mind is like more open.
That's correct. Sometimes like the night also can be creative. However, I see myself that in the night I can like create the ideas, but not so much the arrangement and like the mix and everything. For me it's better in the morning. But I completely get it about the night sessions. It's
I'm also with you. In the mornings I'm more clear because you just wake up and also you have like more energy. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Also, do you like any other kind of music than techno? And also I would like to know about you, if for you is techno very unique? If yes, why is very unique for you?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. When I was young, of course, very young, it was more into the electronic dance music. Back then, we had the Global Underground from John Digweed and all these kinds of guys in the beginning, and I got introduced more in the dance music. And later on, I had a switch to more psychedelic and more trance. And after I came to the Netherlands, I realized, I mean, while you're growing, while you're producing music over the years, you're still finding out. But I'm not really only into techno. So I have influences from multiple genres, and I also produce multiple genres. So breakbeats and house and techno music. But like I'm seeing myself, the more I grow, my sound gets more complete into the techno more hypnotic, but still very mysterious perspective. So also for my tracks, you mentioned about unique. I have realized also that like the way that I produce music and the way that my tracks have been developed, they are a bit different from other producers, which is something that it happens, and that's because I always did it based on what I had in my mind, and not really. I like to get influences and implement it with my own way, let's say.
So techno gives you this thing that you can be creative in all the ways, so that you don't have to follow any rules, that there is no limits on it.
Yeah, especially with hypnotic and all the soundscapes and the polyrhythms, it gets in a very creative zone. Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. So I know that you've been also a lot of years here in Amsterdam, as you said. So how do you think techno has changed in this country and also the scene in all these years?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's been a decade. I came in 2012 for ADE back then, and I actually never went back. So I had 1.5 years to go see my parents. It was really. I love that the Amsterdam, of course, also the Netherlands. They have like a really big history in electronic music, and this was immediately. I saw it immediately when I came here, and there's a culture and education about the club nights. And the club life, and this was really something that when I saw, I was like, yeah, you know, I want to grow in this situation. In regards of over the years of changing, definitely COVID had a really big effect. When I came, it was really the hype of the techno from, you know, like artists like the labels like Drum Code. And artists like from this perspective, and it was really famous back then. We had a really nice club called Trouw back then that was always more underground and more alternative, with more underground artists. And then during COVID, we had all the break. Yeah, it was terrible for everybody. And after COVID, I have seen that we have moved to really higher tempos. So the BPMs have been really, really higher yeah, and the reason can be pure psychology of the people, and I like it as well. Personally, I also felt growing in BPMs, so my new productions, they are a little bit higher, not so fast, but yeah, this was the biggest. I think COVID made a really big impact on how we are back to the club life and how we react inside in the nightlife, and yeah, I think we all learn from it, and we're just gonna make it better.
Yeah, this thing that make people to stay at home like for almost 2 years or 3, I don't know exactly how much.
2 years.
This maybe change the perspective, also the new people that couldn't go out party, and it's the new people that are discovering this music. Yeah. Maybe they have a different taste, so also maybe that can make a change on this music.
Yeah, and of course you have the new generation that you know, during COVID they were not able to go to parties due to their age, and now they are able to do it. So they see immediately the after COVID club life, and it's different from people that they used to go before, and now it's a little bit different. I believe it's all for the best. That we will see.
And now we see that there are new technologies coming. And do you think these new technologies like artificial intelligence are going to make a change on the music industry in, for example, creating music or promoting the music? Do you think in a good way or bad way? Or maybe it's going to be a tool that is going to be really helpful to create maybe different styles, could be, or I don't know, create something very unique. In what way do you think this is going to go?
It's also a very good question, actually. So I am always moving with following the technology. Like, I'm an engineer from the background, and I always love to have the technology be with it, and while it's involved, to use it to make music that I love to do. So as you know, I also perform hybrid, so I use analog gear, I use digital gear. I love the sound of analog, but I also really like the digital sound, with big and really good quality. So technology, for me, it's always there to help us produce and make things that we like to do more. When it comes to AI, it's still, you know, young, but there are pros and cons. I have used AI for some, playing on my own time with some vocals. It was a AI called Jukebox that you were a small Python script that you could put your own, you could put like famous voices from famous artists, and he could combine them and give you a unique vocal at the end with the phrase that you selected. Yeah, I mean, why not? I think it's really nice, and stay unique and don't abuse it. As long as you stay balanced and you don't abuse the tools, use them. Yeah.
It's also a tool that can give you a lot of more new ideas.
Exactly.
So it's
exactly inspirations, and you don't necessarily have to use it, but you just can get ideas from it. I embrace it, but I am against abusing it, of course.
Yeah, that's a good point of view.
Yeah.
Also, I saw that you have 2 different projects. So we are going to start first with the record label that is called SuperQ. What was your motivation to start this record label? Is it only from you? And it's nice to see what is your vision around this.
The vision of this record label was actually to help young artists to take their music out there to start and to take the music out there. I have a perspective that I don't like the music to stay in the shelf.
Yeah.
Producers, including myself, sometimes we believe that the track is never perfect, and there is a lot of people that are not exposing their music because they think it's not perfect. And I wanted to take that out. I am working with a lot of people and young producers, and I try to help them with my knowledge and my perspective of how I believe the sound should be, and the label's there for this reason. So for young people to enter and to start their career, and we started the label with 2 other artists, with Nadia and Apnea. We do everything in-house, so you can understand that it's not like a really big profitable label, but it's more about the passion to have a good collective of good sound. We focused on more atmospheric, hypnotic sound, and this is main the vision. Like new artists, they can come, we can help, we can work together. We know all the artists from the label, so we are not really signing. We receive nice music, but we like first to have the first contact point with the artist and see if he's really in the same mindset with us. And lately, actually, it's going really well, and with producers from London, and I'm super happy with it, and it's really nice. Really nice.
I think this makes you a really nice artist, like to share your music and to support the young artists, because it's the people that they are learning now, and you have a lot of knowledge. Exactly. So you're like, you are the teacher of them, we could say.
Yes, and it's everybody's helping, everybody. So that's the nice part. So it doesn't necessarily have to be me, but the rest of the producers, that they are in the same mindset. We are helping each other, sharing ideas, do remixes, and it's pretty nice.
That's really nice. Yeah. And going to your more new project, we could say, it's called Hypnotica. You started around 2 years ago, 3, more or less.
Yeah, to correct you, it's not like my project there. It's like it has been developed by other people as well, and it's a project that I'm very happy to be involved since 2 years, I think. Started during COVID, when it was really hard times to do parties, and there was a lot of motivation, and we had the opportunity with some really nice people to do some parties and some raves, and the community responded really nicely. And later on, after discussions, the concept has been developed to something really nice and unique that includes art. Is not only about the music. We do pay attention a lot in the music and the quality, but we want to introduce art, and we want to introduce also like an environment that has something special. That's how Hypnotica started, and I was really happy to be. I'm really happy to be a resident there. So it's not really that I created. Some people think that, but it's more like I like to share my perspective and the technical aspect and how we can deliver a good setup. And I'm super happy to be part of it. And after 2 years, as you mentioned, with parties outside, now we are really happy to have a night in Radion in Amsterdam this Friday, actually. So super excited to play also there.
Yeah, really nice lineup coming up this Friday, actually.
Yeah,
so
really happy.
Japanese artists, Takaki Iko, this local artist Koban, Flaus, and you.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the best nights probably during this year.
Yes,
in radio.
expectations are really high.
Only
no pressure
quality.
at all. But yes, it's we are really excited to take it to radio, and we're working with really brilliant people also in art and in music, and all the artists are really good, and also in their way of as artists themselves, not just the booking. And we like to have a good connection with them, and also we have a series of podcasts running there, so it's really exciting.
It's
yeah,
really nice.
Happy with it.
I see you around, you have a lot of machines, modular scenes. I think it's really interesting to see a bit how is your creative process with these things, and maybe you have one of these is your favorite one.
Yeah.
So if you can explain a bit of this.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's see. So over the years I have been testing machines and buying synths and selling synths, and it takes, at the end, you have to define your sound and you have to see which synths you like the most. Some of them are here because they are just a good memory and not really using a lot, but yeah, so in the production perspective, how I use Ableton Live to start my jam, let's say. So I try to do everything in this side. That's why I have the Ableton push here. So I try to stay away from the screen and the laptop and and the machine when I am creating the music. So I use Ableton push, and with Ableton push I'm controlling all the synthesizers that you see here, and the modular, and everything can be controlled here. And this gives me the possibility to jam from the start, just press play and send notes to everything and start jamming. Really nice and handy. Modular synths, it's a big discussion also because I like to make my own. I like to develop my own modulars, and it's been an era for the past year and a half for me. And I like to stay on point. So, you know, if you buy machines and you expand, sometimes you get out of your workflow. So I really like to stay on point, and I use the modulars mostly for soundscapes, polyrhythms, and really trippy, movable sounds around the track. So what else? So when I have the loop, let's say like a 32 bar, 64 bars idea, I record it in multi-track recording inside. And then I take all the sounds and I assign them in the console I have there. So I record the track. So I have the idea ready, and then with mutes and filters and steps, I record the arrangement, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. And then I try to avoid as much as I can the mouse, and to go back with the mouse and the editing, and I don't use a lot of samples, which helps me because I really don't like chopping and this thing with the screen. So MIDI, I love MIDI, and of course the drum machines that they will come inside. After this, after I have the track, I export it in stems and I do the mixing and mastering in Logic Pro. So I prefer the sound there.
So you use different downs for mixing and for mastering.
Yeah. For mixing and mastering is the same. It's Logic.
Mastering the same Logic. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe to make the track, and the idea is Ableton.
Yeah.
That's nice. So it looks like a long process, but
yeah, I think lately it's a track a day. So I have recently realized that, not recently, but I have realized that if I start the track today, and then I work a little bit tomorrow, and if I leave it and then I go back after a week, or I will never finish the track nicely. My mind is in a different vibe.
Yeah, you don't have the same inspiration than when you started. Yeah,
this setup gives me the possibility to press play and start immediately and record immediately and have the track recorded immediately. And then of course the mix and master it's planned. I make 3-4 tracks and then I do the mastering.
A really good process actually.
Yeah, it's important to have a nice. It's important to have a nice template. That's an advice I can give. Like, mine is empty, so it's only racks. So I use Ableton as a rack that actually mirrors all the recordings there, and I don't have hardware processing. So like hardware compressors, maybe a delay and a reverb, but I do pre-processing on Ableton before I record it. So I use some really good plugins from Plugin Alliance or from UAD to pre-process the recording that comes. So if the Moog bass comes, I process it with some UAD plugins, and then I record it. So it's a little bit emulating the hardware, passing it from the hardware and coming inside, because I haven't invested yet on the hardware, and it's a studio of jamming mostly and not really mixing and mastering studio.
But this digital thing has very good potential for it,
right? Of course.
And you see, you have a lot of machines here, but do you have anyone that you always dreamed to have and you never had?
Yeah, I think I would go for, I was always between the Nord and the Jupiter, the Roland, the Juno, and I believe, I would, if I would buy a synth now and I could find the old one, I would go for the Jupiter, the Juno.
That's really interesting. So thank you, Argie, for this interview.
Of course.
I think it has been really interesting, and to know a bit about your opinion of the techno, how is your creative music, your creative process making music, also about your projects that I think you have a really good vision on it, and this is going to make you a really nice artist.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So Argie, I see you also have a different way of DJ. I think you describe it as an hybrid set. So I think it would be nice if you can show us a bit how you play on it and how it goes with it.
Yeah, well, indeed. I have, over the years, I have tried to find a way to be really creative when I play, and try to find a way how I can take my productions to the dance floor with the most creative way. I have tried a lot of setups over the years with DAWs, with CDJs, and at the end I have ended up to this hybrid setup, which is, I find it the most creative and scalable. It can scale to more instruments and more things, and it's a hybrid setup. So I'm using sequencers, a drum machine. I'm using Ableton Live for synthesizers and effects and synths, like here. So I have some things running on Ableton Live, and then I use the Tractor. And with Tractor, it gives me, one of the decks gives me the possibility to have remix decks. And with the remix decks, I found it really nice I am exporting my grooves from my tracks, mostly kick and bass, around a small piece of groove. And I have them in the remix decks, and this gives me the possibility to run the set with my own grooves and switch really nicely. I'm running the grooves from the one deck, and then the rest of the decks is just pure improvising. I loop a lot, and I jump between the tracks, and mostly when I say the story of the set will be from my tracks, and I will add information from other tracks and things that I like, some percussions or some hi-hats. And mainly my drums, they're being running, and some toms, they'll be running from the Digitact. And I have a kick drum also on Digitact to do some, if I want to do smooth transitions without really big bass lines, and like sometimes when you are on the peak of the set and everything is running really, and you want to do an empty thing, like going back to one kick drum, some kinds of resets the vibe, and it's helps a lot. So with this perspective, I have been the most creative, I think, and I like to play a lot with it, because you can play the same things, let's say, from the productions, and the way you play them, you can manipulate them a lot. So super happy for it.
Nice. I'm very curious to see how you work on it, so it will be nice to listen now a bit.
Yeah. I can show you a little bit about. I can start with a simple.
Okay, let's go.